Hello everyone, this is GameBro64. Welcome to another setup. This is a continuance. This is part 2 for the Fire level 130 setup. The first part was my critical setup and how I run with a group. The second setup's more of a solo kind of play for those who don't have friends. No, I'm just kidding. Just for those who like to solo content and like to just be good at the game by themselves and see how well they can do on their own. So let's just go ahead and jump into the overall setup, and then we'll break down each individual piece later on in the video, and I'll explain to you why I like the piece and why I run the piece. Also, no hate. I don't use this setup a whole lot. As you can see, it's not even really stitched or anything like that, but I'm just showing for you guys who would like a solo build for Fire Wizard, especially when you're going to 130 or anything like that. This is a good build to run. And maybe even just a few altercations and stuff like that, just to get to 130 if you're not already at 130. But this is just a good build. I see it as for just when you're at 130 or whatever. So the overall setups or the overall stats is you're going to be running about 6,200 in health, which isn't too high, but it's still pretty good considering your resist is pretty high as well. You have 130 damage, which is really good for a Fire Wizard in terms of soloing. You really want high damage and high resist, so you can survive those boss fights and survive on your own. Resist is going to be 56 across the board. This is really high resist. It could go higher depending on if things were max, or depending on other pieces that you prefer, like amulets, or maybe like boots or anything like that. This can definitely go higher depending on the robe and the hat choice as well. As you can see, I'm running Malistaire hat versus Crocopatria hat. The accuracy is 30% exact. You want 30 accuracy. If you like to use stuff like Raging Bull or this one here, scimitars, or even the tree, you need at least 30 accuracy on your gear, because otherwise you have a chance to fizzle. And if you have a chance to fizzle, if you're soloing and you need to make a hit right then and right now and you fizzle, you either screwed yourself up and the minion could either kill you, or maybe the boss could kill you and you're really low on health and you barely clutched it, but you end up fizzling. So you don't want that to happen to you. So you want to hit max accuracy, so you never have to fizzle. And not max accuracy, but just max accuracy for your spell. You don't, so you have that 100% accuracy on your card. Unless a mantle hits you, then you're kind of screwed. But hopefully you want high accuracy on your armor so you can power that stuff. But carrying on, you only have 29% chance critical. This is in terms of solo content. Most solo players, they don't care so much for crit. I mean, you can go for high critical, don't get me wrong. But if they block you, and so it's some people, they just prefer higher damage. So it's okay to run higher damage, and this is a setup with higher damage as well as high resist. You can definitely go higher, but this is just a setup that I ran when I was on my way to 130, with a few changes once you get 130, and yeah. Block, you have 1% to everything, even to storm and even to ice, even though I'm running to a specific ring that gives me more block to these schools than these schools over here, and that is because I'm running something from the Aphrodite, but it's still 1%. 159 block is still 1%, which is pretty shocking. Geez, I don't know when it's not 1%, maybe 200 block, which is, wow, kind of scary, but probably not that high. I'm probably pretty close to breaking 2%, so who knows. And then 32 armor piercing. This is really high for in terms of if you don't pull a convert, or if you magically realize the boss resists you, especially in Imperia. There was a lot of tricky bosses in there that's like, hey, this guy resists the fire? What? Come on now, seriously? He's ice and he resists the fire. There's no sense of converting or something like that. So you have the high armor piercing to cut through their base resist, or things like brace. There's a lot of bosses now and a lot of minions that love to use brace, and so having that high armor piercing, especially something around above 20, is really good to cut through stuff like brace, just to do further damage, so your high damage doesn't get nerfed with resist. Pretty much the counter to resist is your armor piercing. The counter to critical is block, so once you crit and they block, you're just all left with damage. So you might as well back it up with a resist in case they also resist your damage, or not resist, armor pierce in case they resist your damage. So it's all about countering, how to counter what you can counter. And no one can really counter too much armor piercing, because the only thing you could really think of to counter damage is resist, and the only way to counter resist is armor piercing. There's nothing that can really counter armor piercing unless you throw up more shields, but I mean, even then you just start piercing, and then you throw up strike and infoul, and you just start piercing their shields, and it's just kind of like you're trying to counter a counter to what it already is or something. And then stun resist, you want at least 5% in there, just because stuff like Darkmoor, in case people love to stun you, or if you're facing a lot of people that love to throw Frost Giant or anything like that that stuns you, you can have the 95% off your TC conviction, and then you can also have the 5% off your gear, making it 100%, so you're never going to get stunned. It's very important. Incoming, this is here because I'm running a specific dagger called the Shadow Web. Obviously, I should take that out and swap it to the Darkmoor dagger for higher incoming, but the outgoing is very nice because in case you if you ever throw a spell, I know there are some people who like to throw Satyr in their deck or Pigsy in their deck. That outgoing can actually kind of help you when you're healing yourself, rather than just absorbing health, and you can also kind of heal other players, or heal your minion, or whatever you're trying to heal. The 21 outgoing could kind of help you then and there, but most of the time you just want really high incoming. Pip conversion, 16%. You kind of want this high because you're soloing, so you want as much of a chance as you possibly can. If you're guaranteed free pips when you use something that's 5 pips, and you have 3 yellow pips or something, like if it costs 5, so say you were throwing like FFA and you have 6 power, or not 6 power pips, but 3 power pips, and you throw FFA, that extra noob pip that you can get off pip conversion can kind of help you in the long run. So it's good to, if you have a chance of gaining free pips, go for it. And that's what pip conversion can give you, is free pips to help you out further in game in the fight. So this is just real nice to have high up, just so you can always gain that pip conversion easier and faster. Power pip chance, you want this at max. You don't want to have to worry about getting a new pip. You already get your new pips from pip conversion, so try not to get another new pip off of not gaining a power pip. If you can get 100% power pip chance, go for it. Alright? 100% power pip chance is very important in terms of getting your spells up quicker, because your power pip chance, you're just racking them in. Between pip conversion and power pip, you can gain, if the pip conversion goes off, you can gain 3 pips in one turn. Alright, you get the pip conversion off last turn, and then you get the power pip once you go to pick your spell again, so you just gain 3 pips in one turn. So I mean, you can really rack up a lot of pips if both these things are max, and this one's really high. Shadow pip chance is 6%. It's low, but it's okay. You can definitely improve it with other pieces of gear, or if in terms of jewels, triangle socket jewels, you can get 3% extra in there for each triangle socket you want to throw in. Just note, most triangle sockets go to accuracy or accuracy or power pip chance. Now, each individual piece of gear, we're going to run the Mally Hood. Some people like to run the Krakatopia hat, and that is all, or Krakapatria, I should say, not Krakatopia. Krakapatria hat is really good in terms of damage and resist, but it lacks accuracy, and it lacks power pip chance, and it lacks armor piercing. So that's why I prefer to run this one, just because I like the higher armor piercing rather than 1 more damage, 1 more resist. But if you want 1 more damage, 1 more resist, and 1 less armor piercing, go for the Croc Hood. I mean, it all depends on what you value. Is 1 more crit, 1 more damage, 1 more resist better than 1 more armor piercing, or the other way around, whichever you prefer. The Mally Robe, it's the best Mally robe it's the best robe in the game in my opinion, due to sustain. 18 accuracy on fire is just insane for a robe, as well as almost 10 power pip chance off the robe itself, plus high resist and high damage. Now obviously if you upgrade to Rattlebone's robe or the Light Brigade armor from the sewers and Xanadu sewers or whatever, this can obviously get better in terms of damage resist and critical. However, your accuracy and power pip chance will be lowered tremendously. So if you feel like running the higher robes, you can definitely go for it. Just know your sustain will drop, and you don't necessarily want it to drop too much, otherwise you won't have max power pip chance and you may fizzle once again. And after having, before jewels came out, if you were below 99, from level 1 to 99, there was like no way of getting max accuracy. But now that jewels are out, I mean, once you're low leveling, you could still gain max accuracy. But that, the main point is, you've suffered with fizzling, like, for a very long time. Ever since you were not 100, you have been suffering with fizzling. So now that you are 100, get the gear that makes you stop fizzling. You never have to worry about fizzling ever again. It's very nice. Accuracy, boots. Boots, you want these Persian boots. You get them in the Persian pack. I believe this is the same Persian pack, the Gulcher pack, that you get the Gulcher mount. I think this is the same pack that gives you these as well. I could be wrong. But anywho, you want these. I'm not sure if there's a 130 version out yet, but there could be. But I just prefer these because they give you really high damage, almost 30%, and then they give you really high resist, which is 12% there. And then the crit's nice, and the power pip chance is very nice as well, plus high health. I like these just because most boots around here give you damage, real high critical, and very low resist. So these are just really good boots that give you high enough damage and high enough resist to kind of go well with each other in terms of soloing content. The wand, you want the Igneous wand. There is a better wand than this. Unfortunately, I am not capable of crafting the new one, or whatever, the legendary, or this is the legendary, with the revered one, or whatever, with the accuracy, or not with the accuracy, but with the energy and the fishing luck. I can't craft it. But anywho, if you can and you have that, obviously equip that. It gives you more accuracy, more damage, more crit, whatever. And just run that one. Otherwise, the torch staff works perfectly fine. Dagger, Shadow Web, or Raging Daystar, your preference. Do you want more sustain, or do you want more damage? Do you want incoming, or do you want outgoing? Your preference. You decide. Either one works. I'm running Shadow Web because I need accuracy rather than power pip chance in the triangle sock. The necklace, you can run either or. This is your preference. You guys get to decide which one you would like to run. Personally, I like to run the Daystar just because higher resist, higher armor piercing, and higher crit, even though I don't have much crit. Furnace I like to use because I think it does more damage in the long run rather than just a single fire blade off the Morganth. However, the stun resist is in the Morganth rather than the Shame on Shane necklace, so that kind of gives you a one-up on Morganth rather than the Daystar for me here. And then, of course, just the fire blade and the stun resist is the main reason why I like Morganth. But I'm running the Daystar for the armor piercing and for the resist. Plus, I have 2 squares, so I can have one for stun resist and one for incoming in the long run when I get those jewels. Ring. You can have this ring or you can have the Mimic ring. Either one you prefer. Technically, for me, power pip chance has to be maxed, so I'm running the one from the plant. This one's just very nice because it gives you so much power pip chance. 17% is ridiculous. Plus it gives you 12 universal damage, and this goes for every single school. Every single school. Not universal damage like this. Your death ring gives you 12 universal, your fire ring gives 12 universal, your life ring gives 12 universal, your storm ring gives 12 universal. Every single school gets 12 universal damage. That's very nuts. So fire ring, just go for it. Plus 20% incoming. It's really high incoming. And then of course you can see where I get my ice and storm critical higher than all the other ones is because of that ring there, even though it doesn't give me really 1% or anything like that. But still, I just like this ring in terms of high incoming, high damage, and high power pip chance. So if you're struggling with sustain, this is a ring that could definitely offer some benefit to you. Pet, obviously you do not want block in there. Take that out. It's a failed talent. I got it mega. But what you would like in that is maybe more damage or critical. Probably don't need too much crit because you're kind of soloing, but I prefer maybe a triple damage, double resist, and I may cast Fairy Pet, especially for soloing content, because you don't want to waste all your pips healing you when you want to kind of use your pips to hit and kill faster, but whichever you prefer. But I like this because it heals me, plus it gives me a fire blade. It's important to have a pet that gives you a blade, and maybe a necklace that gives you either a furnace or a blade there. That's just my recommendation for a fire wizard, is to always have those kind of things in check, so it's extra things you can use to increase your further damage output without using pips, because it costs no pips for this blade, and it costs no pips for the furnace, or no pips for this blade. So, and they all stack. So it's really important to use that so you don't waste pips, and you can still further out your damage output. So that's very nice there. You don't need the fairy if you don't want the fairy. If you have enough resist and you realize the fairy's useless and you want 3 more damage in it, so you can get the quad resist pet with damage, you can, or the quad damage pet with double resist. You can go for it that way, and then obviously you can max this out. My dealer is 9% instead of 10%, so if you feel like maxing it out, you can definitely go that route and get 1 more damage off of it there. And then of course I've seen some people do like a triple double, or triple double, and then they'll put the little strength jewel in there or something like that, or the will jewel just to increase everything, or the power jewel to increase everything up to like 4s, 7s, 11s and stuff like that, 10s and 6s and stuff, whatever. Just increase everything overall with selfish jewel socketed. Mount, you want the Gulcher mount. If you don't have the Gulcher mount, go for a 2% damage mount. If you don't have those mounts, give you a mount that gives you something. Alright? Anything is better than nothing. Or just get a mount. If you can't get anything that gives you something, get a mount that looks cool, I guess. That's something else you can go for. Deck, I run the Paradox deck. Obviously gives you less copies, so some people will prefer Rasputin or not Morganth. What the heck is that deck called? Omen. You get the Omen or the Rasputin deck, gives you more copies, less critical. You don't really need the crit, you just need a deck that gives you a starting pip and a triangle socket, so you can either put accuracy or power pip chance in it. If you don't have that, get a deck with a pip. That's the first condition there, is you want a deck that gives you a starting pip so you can start the duel with 5 pips rather than 4 pips. So that's just really important to have there. And then of course try to get Rasputin or Omen for more copies, or you can run the Paradox just for more critical. And yeah, that's just the main reason why I'm running this, is more crit, even though I don't have much crit. Anywho guys, that's the overall setup for this solo. I didn't have to use this a whole lot, mainly because I have friends that are willing to help me out as I'm questing. But this is also a really good one in terms of solo. Say like you are running with a group, but you have to fight a boss that you can't fight on a sigil with a group. You have to fight alone. This is something you can kind of switch to in case you just want a solo and you're not comfortable using stuff like Tower Shield or Volcanic Shield or any kind of shield that you're going up against. It's good to have that high resist so you can kind of brace yourselves in case they crit on you, because block in this game is pretty trash. So it's good to have that high resist and shields, of course, if they do crit on you. So anywho guys, that's going to wrap up this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I will do these more types of these videos in the future and stuff like that for Storm and other schools. Right now, Storm and Fire, they have insane setups for 130 and multiple different combinations that they can do. So I highly recommend you guys checking them out and messing around with them and just kind of theory craft and see what you can make in terms of 130 for these schools. But anywho guys, that's going to wrap up for this video. I have a friend that is bothering me in the middle of a video. Name Himmy. Alright, anywho, I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching guys. Have a great day.